Hi and welcome to On Two Wheels. So today I've come off-roading to Toolangi, but the difference is I'm riding, but the rest of the guys are four-wheel driving. So this is going to be a bit of a different experience. I'm going to compare off-roading on a bike as opposed to on the four-wheel drive. Stay tuned. So today I'm going off-roading with some friends in Toolangi. So the difference today is that instead of going with some bikes, I'm actually riding with some four-wheel drives. So technically I'm expecting this to be a lot simpler and relaxing than if I was riding with a group of bikes. So another reason that I like going off-roading with four-wheel drives is that they show quite a few new tracks which I wouldn't have otherwise found out if I went riding by myself or riding with bikes. So it ends up being a good opportunity. So this is a group of friends that I've gone riding with before. So I kind of know the level of difficulty and the kind of tracks they would do, and I'm pretty confident that I could tackle the same tracks. And today I was actually a bit undecided on which bike I would take. It was between the DRZ 400 and the KTM 300. But I decided to go with the DRZ because we haven't got a fixed route planned out. So that means if I took the KTM, we would be restricted to coming back to exactly where we started. But going with the DRZ, it being road registered, we don't have that limitation, and I can pretty much go riding wherever we want and not having to worry about getting my crutch bike back to the loading site. So I'm going to get ready and head off now. So the weather is going to be a little bit on the warmer side, around 25 to 27 degrees. So when it comes to riding gear, I decided to go with a riding jersey. But at the same time, I need to get from here to the start of Toolangi. And the benefit in going with four-wheel drives is that I could wear my riding jacket, have a comfortable ride up to the park, and then put my ride jacket in one of the four-wheel drives and ride light. So the track we were planning on doing today was a new one. It's a new track that heads off of Sprague's Road, and a couple of guys had done it before. They said that this should be manageable by all of the vehicles in the convoy. So for starters, one of the biggest differences in off-roading on a bike as opposed to a four-wheel drive is that these guys spend a fair bit of time airing down, whereas the bike just doesn't need to. So I like to think of myself as a rider who's on the cautious side. So before I headed off, I actually walked down the track a little bit just to see what it's like. At first sight, the track was wet. It had a fair bit of soft mud on top. But as I headed further, I felt that the mud was a lot softer than I had initially thought. I could feel my boots just sink right in. So my assessment of the situation was that my best option was to wait till a couple of four-wheel drives go ahead, and then I would compact some of the mud, which in turn would make my ride a little bit easier. So it turned out that the ruts just became a lot deeper and narrow, and riding along it also became an issue because my foot pegs would constantly bounce against the walls. And to make matters worse, it was an incline and there was very little traction. And it was just a matter of time before I dropped my bike, and lucky for me, there was always someone around to give me a helping hand. By the time I caught up with the four-wheel drives, they had already stopped. So I was just trying to figure out what had happened. So I leave my bike and go investigate. So when I get to the front, I see that all the four-wheel drives are literally stuck trying to get through this really technical and deep set of ruts, which are deeper than the vehicles are tall, but at the same time have turned into little pools of mud which could swallow up a bike. So because this mud can be very slippery, I decided not to go through it, and the best option was to go around it.
So right now I'm in a situation where rider skill is very important. The entire group has followed a track which is pretty impossible to go through because of the clay. So I happen to come through the bush just so that I can cover some ground and avoid some really big bog holes. So the bog holes themselves are very deep enough to pretty much swallow up a whole bike, but at the same time, the fact that it's clay means there is no traction at all. I was in the middle of the convoy, which meant I didn't really get a lot of traction because the four-wheel drives before me had dug up and pretty much taken off the thick layer soil. So yeah, it's really hot and I'm extremely exhausted. So one by one, all the vehicles are being pulled out. So right now we are going to check on one of the vehicles at the end. You have a winch?
My car doesn't have a winch.
And you're next, right?
Well, I'm the highlights. I didn't come in.
Oh, you did? So you left over there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Smart ass.
Probably the best decision of the day.
Watching one or two was enough for me.
So the mud itself on this track is extremely slippery. So there's absolutely no traction. And right now one of the vehicles have popped a wheel off the bead, so which makes it a little bit more challenging, and the winch is the only way to get it out. Just drive slowly. Just drive it slowly. And as you come round, just right hand down. So we literally just got out of the previous bog hole, took a little bit of a lunch break, and headed out again. I decided to head out first because I would get a dry track, and it will give me a bit more traction than if I traveled on a track that's been pretty much cleared up by four-wheel drives. I went a little bit further and came back and realized that the guys didn't go anything more than 50 meters. They've got stuck again. So I just took another bypass to avoid a set of extremely deep ruts. So I reached and I was able to reach the start before the four-wheel drives. Experience going so far?
Oh, mate, I tell you the best.
You've probably been walking more than being in the four-wheel drive, right?
Yes, 100%. But this is the best experience, you know. You get the
experience without the cost of repairs.
Experience without the cost of repairs. That's true. But I like this. Way too extreme, no matter.
From all the riding and sliding in the mud, the bike did feel a bit off. So this very short piece of track was actually quite brutal on the bike. Finally we hit dry ground, and I think this is the first time I hit second gear since we started the track. I was thrilled and relieved that we were done with the track, so I was being pretty generous on the throttle. By now I was literally just spinning up the rear wheel whenever I got the chance, just so that I could get some momentum into the bike.
So this was an absolutely insane piece of track, and I'm glad it's over. I honestly didn't expect it to be this hard. I've been to Toolangi before. Toolangi has always been a muddy track. It's always got red clay that's slippery. But today's track was especially challenging considering how narrow the tracks were and how deep some of the ruts were. So in that sense, I think I'm going to stick to my rule and try to stay away from Toolangi for a while. I just went down that road, so it's not a track per se. Do you want to take a guess at how long this track was?
Oh yeah, well I think I remember because it's 6 o'clock now. We started at what 12:30?
12, yeah.
Yeah, 6 hours.
And we probably would have done maybe 2 kilometers. That's probably all.
Yeah.
At most 2k.
Oh, we could easily walk it and back a couple of times, right?
A hike could have been faster.
Wow. But look at this. This is a good reward. We made it.
Yep.
I'll let some of the other guys know. Nice view.
Definitely. Oh.
But even after I got out of the ruts, I still felt like I was revving the bike quite a bit. I didn't quite realize what had happened till much later. So by now we are on flat ground. As I give throttle, I could sense the engine revs go up. But at this point my mind is thinking that I'm spinning up the rear wheel, but only later did I find out that that wasn't the case. But once I got onto tarmac, I realized that it was my clutch. I had been a bit too tough on it and I think it was slipping. But at least I was out of the woods, so I'll just need to nurse the bike back home and then take a look at it.
So we're back on the main road now and ready to head off. We spent a good 5 hours trying to get out. That was a lot more time than I initially expected, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm not too sure if I'll have a lot of footage to make this video a very exciting one, so I'm quite excited to go back and look at all the footage I got today. Hopefully I've got some good stuff. Thank you once again for watching the video, and remember to subscribe to On Two Wheels and give this video a like. Thank you for watching. See you next time.